S3 Network.
Oh,
you can wear the fitting. You can wear the fitting. You all right? You all right?
Nah,
you home, man. You home, man. All right, welcome to the Forecast. We review movies, films, documentaries a completely different way, 4 different perspectives. We will not have Wilkes on tonight, but we will have a special guest in Raider Kev, who's a frequent viewer and commenter, and he'll be coming on here shortly, hopefully. And tonight we're reviewing Dead Presidents, a 1995 film. And before we do that, though, we were having a conversation in the background. We wanted to bring you guys in.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you do. Talking about parenting and girls and how they.
Well, let's just say this. For all those parents out there, not only we were actually talking about parenting as your child is an adult, and how there are some challenges that go with that because they think they grown. So if there's any parents out there who's dealing with that, you're not by yourself, number one. But number two, I want to say as well that even if your your children are still underage, that there are going to be some challenges. So my main point of this whole conversation is don't beat yourself up about your kids because there's going to be some challenges, and it ain't never been no book published on how to parent Africans. Bless you.
Yeah, challenge. All right.
Go ahead, A-Trap. I don't know if you were holding your hand because you was about to sneeze.
I was sneezing.
Okay.
$20 down the drain.
Yeah. So let me just say this. We've often joke about how we should sell our backstage, our green room, behind the scenes conversation as a show itself, because sometimes there are some of the most prize-worthy information being shared there.
Right.
So in addition to that, we were also talking about last week. If you did not catch the show last week, I can't even remember the review right offhand, to be perfectly honest with you.
We all gave it 5. We all gave it 5.
No, I can't even remember what we reviewed.
They cloned Tyrone.
Okay, they cloned Tyrone. Okay, because to me, what surpassed what we were reviewing was the moment that David Wilkes had. And I don't know how many podcasts you watch. I don't know how often you watch this, but if you missed last week, you want to go back and check it out, because we had such an authentic, organic moment with Wilkes, as we review the film. So again, we'll remind you that when we watch these films and review these films, it's really just an excuse to get us talking about whatever we're inspired to talk about.
Yeah, and like we also mentioned last week, it's a sense of therapy for all of us, because we've all been through stuff during that week or on that day, or it brings up memories of things that we've experienced. So
yeah,
that's why this show is really about that. So Dead Presidents, give us a description.
Little plot. Okay, so soldier Anthony Curtis, played by Lorenz Tate, returns to his Bronx home after a nightmarish tour of duty in Vietnam. But the nightmare continues for Anthony and his friends as they suffer the indignities of trying to find steady work to provide for their families in a flagging economy. As desperation takes hold, Anthony teams up with Skip, played by Chris Tucker, a drug addict, and Kirby, a small-time crook, to pull off a bank heist that will give them all a chance for a better life. This was originally released in the USA on October 4th of 1995. It was directed by the Hughes brothers, Albert and Alan. The box office, I didn't get the budget, but the box office did $24.1 million. So in 1995 dollars, I think that's pretty significant. And this was put out by Hollywood Pictures and Walt Disney Studios. motion picture. So which I didn't know. So
that was interesting. When they said Walt Disney, I was like, what avenue of Walt Disney was this?
Right. Right. Yeah, Mickey wasn't nowhere around, I promise.
He was not. He was not. Mickey was one of those rats that was crawling around down the street. What's up, Knox, in the building?
Anthony.
Big Mo. Anthony. Big Mo in the building. Thank you for tuning in. Great episode of Wrap It Up this past week. All right. So this is a classic for me, man. I could watch this movie at any point in time. It's just one of those movies that it takes you back to my first time watching it, but also it takes you back to that era during that particular time. So I was definitely looking forward to this one to review it. Let's get into some initial thoughts. Before I do that,
man, ran off, didn't he? All we saw was chairs spinning. I thought they did that on TV, man. We're supposed to get out of a chair and he just left with the chair spinning. That's all we saw. They tried to move fast. I didn't know if it was a ham sandwich in the kitchen or something or what.
Disappeared in the darkness.
I dropped some LBSs.
We just saw smoke and a chair spinning. That's all we saw.
Right.
I lost some LBSs. I'm back.
Tasmanian devil style.
Benita A. Whitfield in the building, the artist
formerly known
as
Whitfield. When you gonna drop another single for us?
Hey, and we need you at the BSC Network
That's
Awards.
right.
You can drop that single. You can set up a table in the back.
Merch. Now, Benita, ain't even invite me.
Merch.
Oh, you invited, man.
Ain't even invite me. You know what I'm saying?
You ain't never got it.
What's the little thing? CITFO.
What's that?
Oh.
Shut the
C. Cut the F out.
Oh, okay.
I thought I was talking about
CTFU. You blew me, man.
Yeah.
I went to public school.
Big Illinois in the building.
Strong C student.
Somebody said, "What's up, y'all?" This is in one of your chats.
Okay.
Thank you for tuning in. All right, and as we get into these initial thoughts, let's bring in our special guest, the one and only Raider Kev in the building.
What's up,
fellas?
How you doing?
What's up, man? And Raider, I was about to defend you, but I wanted to wait till you came on so I could defend you with you on the air. Because when he was telling them who our special guest was going to be, he says frequent viewer and commenter Raider Kev, and that's all. He didn't say nothing about the podcast you do. He didn't say nothing about your end of the bench media collaborations and participation. He just got. I thought it was a slight myself
because he got kicked off the bench.
Well, the last video I watched, and maybe we could talk about this. It sounded like you retired from podcasts.
Yeah,
this is therapy.
No, it wasn't. I was tired. My job just got in the way. It was taking up too much of the time, and I wasn't. When I first started, I really said I'm just going to jump into it. I'm going to figure it out as I go, and it never progressed to where I wanted it to go. So I just felt, well, I'll stop until I get to where I could really do it the way I want to do it, and then we'll move on. But it's coming back. Just it's on pause.
You got to get to this comment. He said, "Raider Kev look like a rapper from California."
And then get the next one.
Triple platinum in the streets.
Love it.
But great to have you on, Raider Kev. It's long overdue. We should have did this a while ago, but we could get into our initial thoughts. I was saying this is a classic film, 1995. But Raider Kev, give your initial thoughts on Dead President.
Yeah, my initial thoughts, man, it was to me, especially when I watched it at the time when it first came out, I thought it was a great movie. I thought it hit on a lot of stuff that we was talking about in the community about how things wasn't as they seemed. I was just in another way of saying it, getting woke, right? And so I was understanding how
I gotta blow my nose. I'll be back.
How the government was, putting the trick bag on, right? How just the whole situation with Vietnam and how we all thought that it was, one thing when it was actually something else. And just some things in the movie kind of touched on that, But it was just a movie that really kind of opened your consciousness to what was really happening in America. And it's not all what it seemed, you know, and this movie kind of, you know, threw some of that light on me. And then that's how I viewed it then. Then when I viewed it again for the show, I'm like, man, this movie was pretty damn good. You know what I'm saying? I was really impressed, you know, watching it now, you know, with a true understanding, you know. So yeah, I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I definitely wanted to lean on the military veteran on the cast, which I know, Doc, you are now. Raider Kev, I don't know if you are military.
No, I didn't.
Okay. All right, but Doc, you know, initial thoughts, all the dynamics in this.
Yeah. I'll touch on some of the military stuff a little later. But you know, my initial thoughts, number one, the long ass fucking intro. It's been a long time since I saw an intro that long. I'm like, what the hell? Was that a thing back then?
I guess so. It was a story.
It was long, man. And then, you know, North Bronx in 1968. And I cannot wait. There's a question I'm going to ask. Now I'm going to go and ask it right now. The 8:02 mark, 8 minutes in, I just put a note that says soundtrack in all caps. And I said, and if H-Rep says he didn't notice this time, he need to go to some therapy or something like that. Because there's no way you can miss the soundtrack on this. And then, you know, we don't talk every week about the details about how we are watching the film. In other words, who's around. Like being a couple of times, I've said Erica was watching it with them or whatever. But I generally don't talk about that because 9 times out of 10, I'm watching by myself. But in this particular situation, my the baby queen, her birthday was this past weekend. So she was at the house getting ready for a party that she was having at the house. Which really she partied at the house all damn weekend. I had to spend the night somewhere else. I got put out of my own damn house. So, but anyway, so her and her friends were there preparing for a little get together we were going to have Saturday night, and I was watching the movie, and they could hardly do their business in the kitchen putting stuff together because they was caught up in the movie. You know, like I noted a couple of comments. One comment was her friend made 2 comments. She goes, the first comment she made, she goes, I ain't seen this movie in a long time. And then in fact, she goes, Lorenz Tate with his sexy ass. And then she turned to do whatever. So I thought that was interesting, but they just could not. And there was one individual there who had not seen it at all. And they kept talking to her like, you ain't seen this, have you? You know, because some of the scenes in it are so graphic, you know, that she, you know, that it took her aback a bit. So yeah, but that long intro, man. But I love the way they Bronx this thing up, you know, the Bronx 1968. I just think that's fantastic.
Yeah, they did a great job at showing that area during that time, showing us and how we, how we do and how we interact. But initial thoughts, H-Rep.
Oh, I mean, it's one of the best movies I've seen in my life, man. Flat out. You know, I was 25 when it came out. You know, it was a resurgence of Black cinema. So I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it then. And I think one of y'all said, oh, that was you, man. It's one of those movies that I rate movies like this. If you're going to watch a movie, if it comes on TV and you're on your way somewhere, will you stop and watch? This is one of those stop and watch movies. Yeah. So yeah, I'm in on.
I agree with you 100%. This is like Coming to America level for me. Like anytime this is on, I could watch it. And watch it like you never seen it before. It's just one of those. And it was during that time Lorenz Tate was killing it. What's the other cat? Terrence Howard was killing it.
Yeah,
Keith David. I actually forgot Terrence Howard was in this movie.
Me too.
And then he popped up. You know what, man? Like,
yeah. I'm like, this is what you could tell where they got characters. Like you could tell. You can see Smokey and Chris Tucker all day long. You know, that was because I made myself a note. Chris Tucker is the old Chris Tucker, the good one, or should I say Smokey? And then with Terrence Howard, you see Hustle and Flow all in that, man.
Oh, day.
You know, so I'm like, I wonder how much this had to do with either characters they did before this film or after this film, because they were some similarities.
Yeah. There was a lot. I mean, I didn't realize, and as we continue to talk about this, there was a lot of characters in this film that are even not just black, but further. Even I'm going to say it now, the cat from The Sopranos.
Yeah,
I didn't.
there were
I forgot
two
who was in
cats.
it.
There were two cats from The Sopranos in it.
Who's the other one?
You had Chrissy, which was Michael Imperioli. He played in The Sopranos, and then you had Tony Sirico, which is the officer. He played Paulie Walnuts in The Sopranos.
Mhm.
So they were prominent figures in The Sopranos. Yeah, both of them. Yeah.
Man. Let's get to some comments here. We got Anna. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate that. I still have the Dead President.
Okay, somebody, is there a way we can kick? Is there a way we can kick Big Illinois out? Because I mean, I'm like, he's on something tonight. I mean, seriously.
Every day.
You got to get to this one about Booty Talk 23. You know, you got to get him out. I don't know if he got out probation today. I don't know what it is, but something he happy about something.
Hey, that's on VHS. I mean, yeah, you have to pop that one in.
Booty Talks was on DVD. Don't ask me how.
But you know what? But this comment does remind me of something I was going to say about stop and watch that H-Rap talked about. The way we watch TV now, though, there's not a lot of stop and watch that goes on, right? Because I watch TV via apps, whether it be Netflix or Prime Video, Hulu every now and then. But because of the way we watch TV and it's series-based watching, there's not a lot of times where you'll catch a movie on like we used to back in the day. When you scrolling through cable and stuff like that, you would catch movies and then there was a lot more stop and watch going on, you know?
Right.
So do y'all get the same perspective based on how y'all watch TV?
Yeah.
I think the reason why is because back then it was stop and watch because you don't know when you're going to see it again. So you catch it and I got to catch it right now.
That's
where today you can say, well,
on demand.
I'm going to stream it. I'm going to binge watch that later on. It ain't that important. But this is one, if you see it, come across, you say, hey, man, let me go check that out.
Yeah, and I think so, too. If you didn't own, and to your point, Reddy Kev, if you didn't own the movie, then whenever it came on, you were trying to watch it, or you were trying to DVR, or you were trying to record it, or whatever way you could. So,
how silly was it that we were trying to own movies? You know, doesn't it seem?
It sounds stupid now.
Silly as hell, doesn't it? Now we talked about some mannerisms of characters, right? Don't leave out Lorenz Tate, and I put down he had a lot of Inkwell mannerisms throughout this film. He, where he was kind of acting a little goofy when the pimp was checking him, and when she was checking him, some of these looks on his face. I thought Inkwell like a mug, man.
Yeah, now I'll be honest, I don't remember that one.
That was horrible.
You don't remember Inkwell?
I don't remember Inkwell, no.
You're a young street.
Do yourself a favor, man. You got to go watch it.
Maybe I've seen it, but I don't.
I wonder if we should, even though H-Rap didn't like it, we may need to review that movie.
Let's not do that.
H-Rap calling in sick that day.
Yeah. I'm sick.
Catch it.
Being watch it and just mention it on one of the reviews we do. Just say, hey, by the way, I watched Inkwell, and just give us a quick Siskel and Ebert type review on it instead of the show.
Okay.
I'll watch it
in the building, Blue Streak. Thank you for tuning in.
Maybe I missed it then, but
what's up, Blue Streak?
I don't know what Keisha trying to be funny. He said he was a virgin too. Right, I guess talking about me. I don't even know when Igor came out.
I think maybe she was talking about when I said the mannerisms for Lorenz Tate.
Oh, and Igor.
Tony Curtis in the movie was Tony was a virgin. Remember, he got something the first night.
Oh, right. Okay, I see what you're saying. All right, so we were talking about music. Man, I had to put down numerous songs just because they stood out and they're just classic songs. The first one, The Impressions, Keep On Pushing, and I think that was when he was, walking up to the store. He was walking in the street, and that reminded me of Malcolm X when Denzel and Spike were walking down the street, and it seemed like they were just walking down a long road. But that was a nice intro to that moment when Lorenz Tate is kind of graduating, or he's about to graduate, and he's heading to the pool hall to the spot. Any
You get that
thoughts
mixed up. That's when he came back from the military. I know what you're talking about.
Oh, well,
That's when he came back from the military.
okay. All right, so
Yeah,
it
so
starts off-
A-Trap. Well, hang on. Let's get you brought up the soundtrack. I brought up the soundtrack. A-Trap.
I heard, hey.
It wasn't
I heard
no
you know,
rap on it,
man.
man.
You can't miss this soundtrack, Joe. Flat out.
I mean,
Thank
shit, I mean, I done thought that about a
Thank
couple other movies that we
Nah,
watched. Last
A-Trap
week,
did a good
I
job.
didn't think you could have missed the
Yes.
soundtrack and you missed it.
Nah, man, I heard this one though, man. I heard this one.
It's impossible to not hear this one. Impossible. So it starts off 1968, and they're in the back of a milk wagon. They're delivering milk. So him,
Right.
Chris Tucker, and the other cat. And this was, man, classic Chris Tucker. Now, what I'm about to ask though is, was Chris Tucker the Kevin Hart of that time? Where he was in so many films and he became annoying.
Not to me. I was a
No,
fan
no.
of Chris Tucker.
Okay.
He never annoyed me.
Oh, you mean annoying, or I thought you mean the hottest dude in the world?
No, he said he was just so much that he became annoying.
Oh no, I thought you meant on the incline, on the come up.
He was on the come up. Now I don't know
Yeah, I
if he
thought
was
you
on the
meant
come up at the
the
level.
next
of
big
Kevin.
thing. I mean, let's
Which he
think about
was,
it, man.
he
Chris
was.
Tucker ain't been in that many movies. He been in
Yeah.
this. He was in Money
Friday.
Talks. He was in that whack Quentin Tarantino movie. I
Fifth
forget the name.
Element.
Huh?
But that was a different. He was in Fifth Element too.
Fifth Element.
Yeah.
And then that whack Quentin Tarantino movie, because that's a Bruce Willis movie you're talking about.
Fifth Element. Yeah.
Fifth Element.
Which-
And then
which-
he was
which
in
Element?
Rush Hour was in Friday. He ain't been in a lot of movies, man.
Let me just tell some of the viewers in here are texting me, distracting me with this Alabama riverboat brawl. Okay, stop it already. They said they called him the brother because we brought up Terrence Howard. They say they called him the brother Aquaman. And
Yeah.
and then they said they also called him Jermichael Phelps instead of Michael Phelps.
Yeah, on the fan today, man, they just listed a whole bunch of names, just random names. Lamonte Phelps.
Hey, I got
Stop
a question though. I got a question. After he swims across, he gets out of the water. Why does he wring out his shoes?
I don't know, man.
I mean,
I saw that I didn't know if he was taking them off or wringing them out. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, no, he was wringing it out. It was almost
was
like he was
wringing
like,
it
"Let me
out.
dry off first,
right.
and then let me get the business."
Right.
He like took a pause.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, come on, man. Take care of business, man.
Okay, that's a big comment, Big Illinois. That's good information.
Yeah, Jose Freddie Rodriguez graduated from the best high school in Chicago, Lincoln Park. They called him Pookie Phelps. There you go, Pookie Phelps too.
Yeah, Freddie Rodriguez done played in a couple of decent movies, man. He done played some good roles.
He was just in the Michael Jordan movie. You talking about
Oh, did he say the best high school in Chicago?
That's what he said.
I said, I
like
knew
like a
there was
shot.
gonna be something about
Boy,
that.
Sound like a shot. Yeah.
Man, he ain't go West. That's one.
He threw it, Illinois. That's his way of saying it's on. Nigga, you ain't never saw that? That was like,
that was the call, the cuckoo. That's what that was.
No, man.
Yeah, I'm surprised
Green
you let it go
gold
by
for
that
life.
long.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the signal because you see people just started coming out of the woodworks, man. Dude coming from behind walls and
I like the
swimming.
commentary of the chick across
Yeah,
the river.
yeah.
That boy swimming in the fight. They said that's the first time a brother that swam to a fight in the
Right.
history. They like, we on the map now. Yeah, that nigga swimming.
Yeah,
So,
he broke the barrier. We not afraid of water.
Yeah. Good
All
stuff.
right, let's get back to this.
Okay, somebody agrees with H.
Somebody agree with you,
school
A-Trap.
in
Cool.
Westinghouse Warriors.
That's right. That's Latoya. She a warrior. Green and gold for life.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's
that's
the
what I
universal
said.
symbol to Black
Yeah, when you
America.
throw the
It's
hat,
about to
that
go
means okay, we finna go.
down. Right, we finna go. Knock
Knock it off. Knock it off. And I don't
That's-
even know what you wrote, but knock it off.
That's the equal to the woman taking her earrings off and her rings off and all that off.
Right.
Oh, y'all see the pic with Doctor Strange Endgame? Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah, I
see that
seen
one
that.
too. I did see that one
one.
too. It's a lot of memes out there.
Funny one, yeah.
One thing we know how to do is make something funny as hell. We just gifted
Even
the
when it ain't
Lord,
supposed to be.
even when it ain't supposed to be. What's love got to do with it? That was not supposed to be a funny movie, but that movie is funny as hell with all these memes and everything.
Oh yeah.
All right, so when Terrence Howard, I was wondering how old was Terrence Howard in this? Because this was like a young Terrence Howard, a young Lorenz Tate.
25. Me and Terrence Howard the same age.
Wow. Wow.
Well, 24, 24, 25.
Yeah, 95. Okay. So
And he
Terrence
developed
Howard was
that
born in
name.
70, 71.
I think he's either my age or a year older. So we around the same age.
Okay, 69 or 70.
69
Yeah.
or 70. Let me look him up.
But he developed that tagline early. Like as soon as he came on, man, we already knew.
69.
That's what I'm saying. I think they like some of these characters so much as individuals that they like, we're gonna build the movie around this character.
Right.
Or at least the way they acted. Same thing with Chris Tucker. Like I said, that joke acted just like Smoke in this movie.
Yeah, yeah. So they were riding in the milk van, dropping off milk or whatever. And Lorenz Tate comes up to the door. Now, I don't know how old that girl was supposed to be, but she was, I felt like they were about to hook up before the older sister. Because it just seemed like she liked him from the jump. But I'm assuming she was somewhat younger than him. Allegedly, but they look the same age. But I don't know. It's
black
film
women
age.
All black women look 14.
I don't know about that.
Before the liquor.
All right, Big Illinois, I got you on your In Bush Right comment. Just stay tuned for the beauty of the week, and we'll see how that goes, sir.
Yeah. Lorenz Tate and Keith David when they're driving and they switch. Now I don't remember that, but that whole scene was greatness, man.
After he got his leg taken out, when he grabbed the wrong leg,
before and after, all of it. But the moment when he lays down next to the dude with his leg off, that was I had forgotten that part. But Ray Kev, man, talk about that. I think the scene how it started off with we've been in situations where you driving with somebody, you got an eerie feeling like something about to go down. And you're like, yeah, switch. Or I'm about to just go to the store and A-Trap. I know you got a story on that too, but Ray Kev, give me your thoughts on that scene.
Yeah, so I just thought that to me it just showed how Anthony was just so enamored. He was just he was so, that was his guy. That was his idol in essence, you know what I'm saying? And he just wanted to do whatever it took to get in his good grace. You know what I'm saying? So driving, hey, I'm gonna let you know I ain't got no license, but hey, driving, I would love to drive for you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Anything it took to be in his good graces, because that was his idol. You know what I'm saying? And so I just viewed it at that, and I just thought it was so funny, man. When because now when I first watched it, I never knew this. I never heard that he said he only had one leg earlier. So when I saw he only had one leg in that scene, it really threw me off. I'm like, damn. You know what I'm saying? And so and then everybody knew it. So I'm like, what did I miss? You know what I'm saying? So but it was to me, it was a great scene. It just showed to me how Anthony just would have done anything for him. You know what I'm saying? Because that was his idol,
Yeah, literally anything. A-Trap.
I know it took me, it's a hood thing. It's a hood thing. I don't even want to say it's a hood, it's a black thing. It's always that older cat in the hood. Like my grandfather's best friend, my grandfather passed away, and his best friend was Big Daddy. Big Daddy used to say at 6, this man giving me how to treat women advice. I'm 6 years old. Like, what you talking about, man? So I could definitely identify with him. And then, like, when I was about Anthony's age in this movie, 16, 17, 18, I don't know if Tito watching. He usually watching in the background. It's my cousin Mike. Rick Moss and this dude named Bucci used to have us out there. Like, they would get busted, and they would give us a couple of beers, and they would let me and Mike and Vince drive So we driving all around the city, underage driving, drinking at the same time. So I could definitely identify with this. That's how I learned how to drive, riding around in the gold Impala with Bucci and Rick Moss.
Yeah. I see. I wasn't even gonna comment on this piece of it, but the older cat befriending a younger kid cat back when numbers running was a thing, was very popular, right? It happened quite a bit because they got a fondness for those kids because they saw something in them, right? And then so that was done a lot. And then Harlem Nights even was that same type of situation, right? When Quick, was taken under Ray's wing, right? And so A-Trap reminded me, and my uncle did the same thing for me. I was only like 12, 13 at the most. And he used to want me to go wash his car. He had a Thunderbird, a charcoal gray Thunderbird with some rims on it. And he used to every Saturday go wash my car. And I could have easily done it out in the driveway, but I'm like, I'm gonna take it to the car wash. So I take it to the car wash. And shit, I'd be riding around Garland listening to that's back when you had rolled the windows down and you let your music play and you driving slow, like 10 miles an hour. I used to ride around Garland out for hours on Saturday. And one time when I got older, I was probably in my 20s at this time, and he said, and he was talking about it to some of his friends, and he looked at me and goes, I knew it didn't take that long to wash no car. He goes, but I let you do it because I was trying to put you on, whatever. So yeah, that whole, older cat taking younger cats under their wings, and it wasn't no creep factor to it either.
No,
It was just straight up genuine, authentic. I cut for that kid, and like they would kill somebody over you too. Like, don't touch him, just like that. That was real too. When he was like, and you notice he was back there doing his business, but he kept looking up to make sure everything was cool with him in there, because he knew that's normally not a spot that kids come. And there's always a Terrence Howard kid character in there too. Again, another Harlem Nights parallel. When they had that young kid, get that fucking kid out of here and messing up my fucking dice. In Harlem Nights. The same situation, man. Get that young kid out of here, man.
Hey, can I mention something about the bet with the pool bet? So we saw later on that Anthony got like over $100 for running the numbers, right? That was some big time money, right?
Yeah.
But they were about to fight and really go down over $2.
$2. My last $2.
But $2 was big. But $2 was still big, though. That still was significant enough,
I just thought that was kind of odd when I saw that. I said, "Damn, $2."
Yeah,
that's right, bigger than us.
Definitely, man. And the Hughes, well, I guess one of the Hughes brothers did "Dear Mama," right? Was that the same? The same cat, yeah. Trey Naturals in the building. Thank you for tuning in.
What's up?
And then you fast forward when he got back.
Got me looking good still, Trey.
When he came back from the war, and it was like, and they played pool again. And he was like, "I ain't going down like that." Well, where that gun at? Where that knife at now? Yeah, he was ready. He was ready for him.
Pool stick on his back.
Yeah. He was ready for him then.
I can identify with that too. I ain't go to war, but I can identify with that too.
Fighting your nemesis in the pool hall.
Well, the nemesis. I got the hell beat out of me by this gang called the Black Gangsters for hitting these 2 free throws. And after being on the football team, I bulked up. I came back to the hood, and I was daring one of them to say something to him. I told this one, "You better give me some go ahead on, man. You don't want this.
You don't want the smoke."
Yeah.
To shout out to Facebook user said, "I need all my money." I see. So if you're tuning in any of the Facebook groups, do us a favor, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. Give Facebook permission so we can see who you are, so we can give you the proper shout out. Let's pause a minute and talk about Keith David, man. His resume is massive, and in this era, he was in some of everything. He was a dad. He was a gangster in this. He was whatever in so many different films. So I just want to give him a quick shout out. I think he's been in at least a couple things we reviewed too.
Yeah, and then even now in terms of television or series, he's in what's that church series? Greenleaf.
Greenleaf.
He's pastor in Greenleaf. So
He killed that
I
too.
think he's done well. I can't remember a bad role that he's had, you know, where he at least he didn't do a good job in it. Even if the movie was bad, the dude is just a
He was in
natural
he was in
character.
Barbershop with the busted toupee.
Oh, he was the dad. He was the dad on Nope. So that's one. That's one
Yeah.
thing we reviewed.
Something
Yeah, so
about Mary.
I don't think he's ever been this $20 million film guy. You know, he's just been this steady Eddie, you know, that's getting work and knocking it out the park, you know.
Yeah.
But he's never typecast himself, even though he has such a distinctive delivery in how he does his work. He's not been typecast. He can play anything. He can play a villain. He can play a hero. He can play a daddy. He can play a, you know, just a background 2-bit player, you know. So I think he's fantastic.
Yeah. Keisha said Keith David was Shadow Man and the bookie in the barbershop. Okay. Yeah, man, he's got a catalog for sure. All right, so graduation night. You know, they're at the house party. Chris Tucker, man, just being classic Chris Tucker, man. I love the character. It was definitely a Smokey parallel. I definitely agree with you there. But it just seemed like he was the Chris Tucker that we all loved, just cracking jokes. When he was talking about, I'm a pimp. My daddy is a pimp. He was talking about when he was on the plantation, he was having hoes pick their cotton for him, so he didn't have to do it.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just classic Chris Tucker.
Yeah, I had two things about that. Number one, teenage kids with mustaches. What the, you know, because I think Lorenz Tate had a mustache. And then is this where they got is this where Chris Tucker character uttered the line, I'm gonna be where I'm at. I'm gonna be where I be. Is that where he said that when somebody asked him something? So yeah, that's a quotable line from this movie. I bet there's a lot of people who say that because they've heard people say it and don't even know it comes from this movie. They don't know where it comes from. But that's we quote it quite a bit.
Yeah. And I think another aspect of this movie too was the Black Panther part of it, which I don't think they said Black Panther, but obviously we knew that's what it was. But that just added a whole other aspect. You got Vietnam, you have Black Panther Party going on, you have the soldiers coming back trying to find jobs and they can't, so then they have to end up go and do something else. So man, that was I think this was kind of similar to last week. It had a lot of deeper parallels to it that you cannot miss.
Yeah, that was going to be my tie-in on the military when you asked me about that, is that, you know, it's really a message about that. Vietnam movies and the mess that went on with Vietnam. And it's almost like out of all the soldiers in wars or conflicts that we've been involved in as a country, the Vietnam vets have been treated the worst, you know.
Right.
You know, because even right now, you know, like I said, I kid you not, over the last couple of weeks, there's been comments and situations come up to where people have said to me, based on some of the benefits that I get or lack thereof, they're like, man, what a way to show you thanks for your military service, you know, because some of the shoddiness, man. And I can't tell you, man, how difficult it is to get care, man. It's just, you got to go through so many hoops, man. But anyway, Vietnam vets were treated, in my estimation, again, I didn't know a lot of World War I vets, a lot of World War II vets, you know, but Vietnam vets, man, with what they had to go through, the PTSD aspect of it, and the post-care treatment at home, and it may have something to do with the state of the country when they got back, was in such shambles, you know, that they are, you know, first on the list in terms of being mistreated. But you know, so they were running. I don't know if it was the night of the high school party when he was running. Yeah, it was when he was running after getting caught from being in the girl's house. Okay. Lorenz Tate's character, he's running, jumping over fence and stuff. And that transition where they ran him right into the fields of Vietnam, I thought that was fantastic from a cinematic standpoint, you know. And they did a fantastic job of showing the mental aspect of how people were before they got there, and then what they were after they got there, and the effect on seeing the killings, and even Lorenz Tate's character, where some people were like looking at pictures of their girlfriends and stuff like that, and he's like, I don't want to think about none of that. You know, he goes, I'll deal with home when I get home. He goes, but if I'm thinking about home, I'm gonna get killed out here. You know,
I'm a dead man.
That was some people's approach. You know, So I thought they did a fantastic job. I did laugh at when the dude died. I said, "Damn, that nigga died hard." Like he went overboard in the way he died. But A-Trap's favorite character, I want to hear what he thinks about Bokeem Woodbine.
Yes. The man, the myth, the legend.
His character, you want to talk about a pendulum swing in his character and what he was, what he became, what he ended up, Yeah. So what's your thoughts on Bokeem in this movie?
Clean.
Bokeem Woodbine, I think he's a better actor than it was at that point, but he did a very good job in this. He wasn't asked to do a lot. So he was supposed to be over the top. He usually overacts. So in this instance, being an overactor paid off because he's in the midst of a war and he needs to be, and he's the most hyperbolic person in the film. So overacting played right into it. And to piggyback off something that you mentioned, they were the worst. You don't have to know any World War II veterans or Korean War veterans to understand that. Think about it like this. The Korean War and World War II were at the precipice of the New Deal. The New Deal allowed you the GI Bill, the education bill, housing, and what's the fastest way to wealth in this country? Purchasing a house. That's generational wealth, because now you can buy something. Warren Buffett lives in a house that he bought for $35,000, and he worth $106 billion, right? So he passed that money on, and people refinance their homes and put their children through college at this point. So they were treated the worst because, let's just be honest, this is the turn of rich people taking over the country. I don't think it was the economic instance. It was those people who had the New Deal, those people who were benefiting from Social Security, those people who were benefiting from those land grants. Those people were controlling the country at this point, because now a generation is only 20 years. You got 40 years since the last war. Those people running the country right now. So you got to keep your foot on the neck of the working class and the poor. And what's the best way to do it? Deny them benefits, deny them opportunities. And they'll continue to be poor and disenfranchised. And that's what was going on at that time.
Yeah.
So
now my question
100% right, dog.
Yeah. And my question as far as Vietnam, was a selling point they were over there to get some type of resource or something that they had?
No, allegedly they were fighting communism, and communism is just a system that is attempting to spread the wealth. Communism on paper is an excellent idea, whereas we are, like with us, we practice communism in regards to the show. Dog speaks, Kev speaks, which would usually be Wilkes or a guest. You speak, I speak. That's communism. Everybody get their shot. Like Dog and Wilkes, they kill us on the music. I traditionally do the historical part. You drive the vehicle, and we all give our perspective. Communism, everything is equal. But when you factor in the human aspect of communism, now that's when greed, because Dog my boy, so I can't have him fixing cars. I need him to be X, Y, Z. I need him to be a vice president. Rated Kev, that's my boy too. I can't have him being a school teacher because that ain't enough for him. When you, on paper, communism works. The reality of the situation is you have people interjecting their own personal agenda into the communism, and it becomes almost a form of socialism, and they're giving away things, because then again it becomes not even socialism, it becomes capitalism, but with a different name.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, but the reason why our country says we're fighting wars or conflicts, they're gonna give you the misdirection, the okie doke as to the reason why.
Right.
I mean, hey, this is the same country you had the Salem witch trials, right? We're gonna see if, in order to see if you're a witch, we're gonna throw you in this river, and if you drown, your ass must have been a witch. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? That kind of shit.
Yeah.
So
this is some good comments, right? Anna says, yes, the purpose was for the U.S. to prevent communism. I'm part Vietnamese, so definitely got a perspective here. Do you know anyone who served in the Vietnam War? I don't.
Yeah, I do
personally, but I do. Yeah. I'm sure the other guys do.
I'm about to reboot the Rapping with H-Rap, and I got this guy named Jesse James. Man, Jesse has a compelling story. Jesse told me when he got back from Vietnam doing 2 or 3 tours, right? He said it took him 3 years for someone to be able to wake him up. The first night he got home, his mom told his brother, go wake up Jesse for breakfast. Jesse was he said it took him 3 years. Every morning at 4 a.m., he would just wake up, roll out his bed, and be ready to fight. His brother touched him while he was sleeping. He broke his arm.
Wow. I mean, and I cannot imagine, what you being over there, which they were saying they were in the bush for most of the time. You don't see your family. It's completely different than what you've done, at all in your life, especially when you're first time there. But you had the different personalities. You had the Chris Tucker there, which I forgot that part. I didn't think he was there because I'm like, I don't know how Chris Tucker being a comedian and all that, but he was there. Bokeem Woodbine was there. Lorenz Tate was there, and then they had some other, character was there, like the one guy from Sopranos. But I personally, and I get y'all thoughts on this, felt like the war part, they kind of, I get the point they were trying to give, but I felt like they dragged that on too long. It seemed like it was like 20, 30 minutes. I don't know, what was your thoughts?
Well, I thought it was I thought it was necessary because I think it kind of emphasized to me the sign of the times, because it put them in a desperate state later on down the road to do what they did. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
Because
you're
here's the thing. Going back on what you were talking about earlier about how people viewed the war, right? When I was in school, when they told us about it, they didn't say war. They said conflict. They didn't even give it the respect that it was a war. They viewed it as a conflict. That's the way it was taught, right? Look at the judge toward the end during the sentencing.
Oh, yep.
He said, I fought in a real war, World War II. So even military people did, but he said he didn't even give it respect. He's a military guy and didn't give it respect, So those veterans, the Vietnam veterans, didn't get the respect. So I think it was necessary for us to see what they did, so it can embed in our heads as viewers. This was a war. Yeah. These guys sacrificed a lot more than what they should have. And now when they get home, they don't get the respect, they don't get the support, they don't get what it was needed. So now we can sympathize with them for having to go and set it off. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was necessary for them to have that that length of sentence.
Yeah. And they wanted us to feel the length of time they were away from family. Right. And they were, so when they came back, you could understand why some of the behaviors were what they were, right. And some of the disconnects were what they were and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it was necessary at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, most definitely necessary, because then you don't understand why Anthony is going through what he's going through, why Chris Tucker's going through what he's going through, and Bokeem Woodbine actually came out better for it.
His dad was a pastor. Yeah,
he came out better because he was there, just a wild dude, and then he found Jesus due to the stress and tyranny that these conflicts will put you through. Yeah, man. I think it helped us connect, as Ray DeCare say, connect with the character. Now, what I will say about, on the flip side, I don't think they went in depth enough. It's only a movie. It's not a mini series, so it's kind of difficult. I think they didn't give us enough of the trauma that Anthony went through.
Yeah,
because we were talking about the 70s. We talking about a period of time where people are standing in line for gas, man. You know how? See, if you do yourself a favor, man, I'm not trying to big league, on the age thing, because it don't mean anything. It's just a bunch of birthdays, right? But Google 1970 gas lines. It looked like they giving away gas, man.
Right.
Wow.
The country, this is when rich people decided, I'm choking these working class and poor people clean out.
Exactly.
Clean out. And this, see, if you'd went into that a little deeper, then it explains why Anthony is in such dire straits. The one thing a man would hate to do is let his family down, man.
Yeah.
Right.
And
that's one of those stabs in the heart that can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, a lot of people just write off, we call them deadbeat dads, right? And they write them off as, oh, you didn't stay, and it's a punk way to go, man. But I was never faced with it where I couldn't take care of my children. But bruh, it has to be mad demoralizing to
Oh, yeah.
look in that woman and them children face and say, I ain't got nothing.
Yeah, that I made that mistake one time, Trav. I wasn't thinking, y'all know I'm naturally a giver, so I don't think about it, sometimes. And I gave to this married couple, but I gave in a situation that made her husband look bad. I didn't think about it till afterwards, and I'm like, I put him in the spot, so I had to circle back and say, hey, my bad, man. I'm just so used to giving, I wasn't thinking, so in essence, I should have probably pulled him aside and said, hey, I'm gonna bless you with this, but I was just so, I saw opportunity, I gave, and it made him look, and so I had to apologize to him for it, because in that situation, that's what matter of fact, what's that guy Clifton Powell's character played Cut?
Yeah,
that's another dude.
Boy.
Clifton Powell done played in some stuff, right? He played in
Pinky?
another. Yeah, that's right.
Say another word.
Say another word. One more.
Hey, but he killed this role. He
Yeah, he
killed this role, man.
He did. Yeah.
And the way he pulled up, it was like,
I just was looking. Yeah.
It was like, I came by the other day. You wasn't here.
Yeah,
And and
my dad said, "Oh, my little one in the back, sleep back there."
Yeah,
right.
You knew that. You knew that was going down eventually.
Yeah.
Let's see, that whole exchange again. It goes back to the lack of community and our inability as people to communicate. Because you got your mother there, and your mother's probably disappointed that she got this baby, so she's feeling a little shame, right? So she out there on her own. Me and Big Illinois talk about this all the time. Whereas we're in such hurry to put our kids out. No, you got to get your own.
Right.
If your mother, and I'm not talking about her mother, I'm not disparaging her mother because she just did what she thought was right. You know what I mean? But her mother, in my opinion, see, this is the deep and ugly part of the whole situation. You got the mother who let this girl go out on her own, and she connects with a pimp.
Right.
And she's not for the streets per se, but she's lost.
Right.
The father's nowhere to be found. The mother working 12, 16 hours a day. She got the little sister she's trying to raise. So I'm gonna be susceptible to the Cuddies of the world. And that's the part that we have to, when we watching this story, a lot of people like, she's stupid for messing with this pimp. She's stupid for messing with this pimp, but she's not stupid for messing with this pimp. She just, as Nas said, she just a black girl lost.
Appreciate this comment. Great topic, fellas. This movie is a classic and by far still one of my favorites. I agree with that comment 100%.
And can I add something about the times and about what she had to go through?
Yeah.
See, today, I think we support our young people a lot better when these things occur. But I remember back in the day, you got pregnant, you gone. You know what I'm saying? We don't care you ain't got a pot to piss in. You gone. You know what I'm saying? So she was in a desperate situation, And, she loved Anthony. We kind of feel that. But hey, man, if I had someone that's caring, he's an adult that knows how to get in her mind. So he played on that, and he just it was a situation that she couldn't win. She didn't have the mental capacity to win, to understand how to deal with it properly. We can criticize it, but she didn't have the mental capacity to know how to deal with it, and no support. So I don't blame her at all,
Yeah, Ray. Hey, Kev, you're right, man. You're right. And this is, again, man, this is our inability as a community to communicate. This is when Madea Big Mama step in.
Right.
Because there's no way in the real community, Big Mama or Madea will girl stay away from him.
Right.
But her mama is working 12. See, this is a microcosm. What's wrong with the community, man?
Facts.
You got the 12-hour working mama, the non-existent father, ain't no uncles and brothers there, you know, so you susceptible to a parasite, man. Let's understand what a
Exactly.
pimp is. Pimp is a
Exactly.
bloodsucker, man.
Right.
Right.
And I think in other cultures too, the daughter stays there until they're married. They stay there and they go all the way through school. They got an opportunity to save money. They got an opportunity to make a plan. They have opportunity to set themselves up. But like we've been saying, which I think the tide is overly turning, is that don't just push your kids out, because then you push them out. And also, what have you taught them? You taught them how to budget, how to how to take care of yourself, how to make sure that you have a plan in place, how to make sure, like you said, you don't fall with the cutties of the world. So I think that is a huge message in this. So
and that's why I cherish my time with my mother, man. I remember being 12 years old. My mother sat me and my two sisters down, and she literally told us what was going to happen when she died in 1982. Wow. She didn't die for almost 30 years later. Yeah. Wow. And I remember my mother told me, I ain't leaving you nothing. She told my sister she going to leave them money. She said, I'm not leaving you anything, because you're going to be a man, and I'm going to show you how to take care of yourself. Yeah. And, you know, at 12, I'm like, hey, man, I don't want to talk about no death. Right. Especially you dying, but
that is another thing that we fail to do, is prepare our kids or prepare our family, period. So if something happens, you're not having to try to find the will, if there is a will. You're not having to try to find all this information. So if this is not a lesson to all of us, get your stuff in order.
Yep. Queen 3 and King had an episode. We'll be having a part 2 on that call, where there's a will, there's a way, and it talks about having those conversations. And I even talk about
white guy, right?
Having the first 2 or 3 conversations with my oldest son, who will be the executor, to where he's like, "You all right?" And I'm like, I just thought, yeah, man, I'm just trying to make sure you're gonna be straight. Right. You know, next time I had a conversation, he's like, "You sure you're all right?" Yeah, man. You know, I'm just trying to make sure, you know, so now he understands that, okay, he's just trying to make sure I'm straight, you know, because we done had now 10, 12 conversations about it, you know, so because every time I make an update or there's some more value, or there's a new location, or there's a new password, or there's a new combination to a safe, or whatever, you know, we having a conversation about it, you know, so he's up to date on exactly where to go and who to talk to, you know, so he says, okay, if you can't find this, go talk to Craig. You can't find that, go talk to Sean. You need to know this guy, go talk to him, you know. So yeah, it's got to be conversations, but you got to have them frequently enough, then they won't be weird anymore. They're weird because we never have them. They're awkward because we never have them. They're uncomfortable because we never have them. Start having them. It's, you know.
Yeah, but you're right, dog. Because me and BJ and Bria weren't even speaking at the time, and I say, look, we need to talk about this. And if I croak, this way it is. This is where you go.
And this is a great comment. Life is about preparation. It is 100%.
Yes.
All right. So go ahead.
And everybody's born to die.
Start dying the moment you're born.
Exactly.
So 6 months later from the war, after Cleon was cutting off heads and putting it in his backpack, I was like, it was crazy. It was like, that's our good luck chart. We in trouble now.
He was right, though.
He was right. He was right. But the smell, but hey, if you had to deal with the smell in order to make sure homeboy survived with his guts hanging out. But
you know what's tripped out about that? How many people had to do what Anthony Curtis did? How many people have been killed because they had to kill their good friend in the military because you think he ain't gonna live? Right. And if you do live, you're not gonna be chitlins hanging out your chest.
Yeah. And don't forget, they took his partner and put it in his mouth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So not just the guts, you know.
Right. Yeah. And then the note, I don't remember that part, but the note, I think Lorenz Tate picked it up and he was like, "Yeah, you I don't know, you black people,
man, we don't have no problem with you."
Right. That's not your war.
Right. Yeah.
And that was another powerful.
Yeah.
Moment.
That was them trying to say, hey,
Y'all get out of here.
yeah, we don't want this with y'all, you know.
Right.
I
Right.
thought that showed a bit of a connection with us, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
You know,
Hitler used to do that.
Yeah.
Hitler and Mussolini used to do that.
Yeah.
It's a age old trope. I mean, Putin was doing it with the last election. That's how your boy Trump got elected. They attacked the internet,
Yeah.
saw the weakness in America's policy and attacked it.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I know A-Trap has a strong opinion about this, but in essence, they're right. You know what I'm saying?
I don't have a
They're
strong opinion about that. I got one opinion, Kev. You right.
You know what I'm saying?
All right.
No strong opinion. There's only one.
Right. Look at how black men who are veterans, what have they gained? They did all this, and what have they gained? What do they gain when they come back home? Disrespect. That's all they gain. You know what I'm saying? So,
Doc, you gotta.
Yeah, Doc is the expert, right?
You could definitely respond to that.
yeah. No, I mean, all I can say is that it's trying to improve slowly but surely, but it's way too slow, and you know, in order to make it right, the pendulum would have to swing so far, so fast that it's not likely, you know, at all.
See, this is one of those things where the show tomorrow, everybody perceives it as because I speak to us, I'm unapologetically speaking to the black community, but the way the military treats working class and middle class people, it's a universal thing. That's the best way you can do away with the trope of racism, because race is a made up, it's a construct, it's a social construct, it's not a real thing. And the easiest way to show that race isn't a thing is to look at the way the people in the military, the lower ranking people in the military, are treated. They're treated like trash no matter what you look like. Vietnam vets coming back looking like one-armed pets. That's what they looking like. Go, like when you watch Forrest Gump, right? You watch Forrest Gump, you see a bunch of white guys in the audience, a whole mall at the Washington Monument full of white people. And then they had some Black Panthers there, but that was white people. When you look at the vast majority of the people who come back, it was only, look at it this way, man. It was only 50,000 people that came back hurt from the war. 13,000 of them were Black. But people always say, well, there's only 13,000. Well, when you only make up 13% of the population, you have to factor in the fact that 13,000 fathers didn't show up again.
right.
And that's dead.
Right.
That's just dead. What about the drug addicted, the people who did what Chris Tucker's character did? Man, come on, man. You seen your friends
and that PTSD
for no reason. Yeah, man. Like my man Jesse, the dude I was just telling y'all about. Jesse says he's, to this day, Jesse's taken, I think he said 5 psychotics. 5. It's 2023 and a half.
Wow.
He's been home since 75.
Wow.
So this will let you, if you pay close attention, this whole race thing is just a trick. But, people may say I play into it on my Tuesday show. No, I have to address my tribe. I can't worry about, family, clan, tribe, nation. That's the only way you can live in this system. So that's why I speak to our people.
Right.
Yeah, we got to. All right, let's take a pause for the calls as we get into our next segment, the one and only Beauty of the Week. Oh, you're on mute. There you go.
All right, you got me now?
Yep.
The beauty of the week. So earlier, I think it was Big Illinois who mentioned the little sister in Bush Wright, played by Delilah Benson, and he said he had a crush on her, and I considered her as one of the beauties of the week. However, she did not make it, unfortunately. Once I reviewed all the ballots and I looked as closely as I possibly could, the beauty of the week is the one that Cuddy was smashing while he was out at war. The one that, and she actually is married to a big time TV producer nowadays. So apparently they agreed that she was the beauty of the week. So again, her character is Juanita Benson. She is Rose Jackson. Again, she's not in the film industry from a movie standpoint or whatever, but this was just your classic, again, girl next door, all the little kids. I'm pretty sure it was a lot of beat meeting going on to Rose Jackson back in the day, so so again, I don't think that
That's a horrible picture, though.
Yeah, that one is. That's the thing. That's another reason why I knew she wasn't doing a lot of stuff recently, because you notice all the pictures I got of her are from back then.
Older,
like
yeah,
that came
90s.
directly from the movie. That picture right there. This picture right here came directly from the movie. So I couldn't find a lot of stuff for her today. To show what she looks like, because normally I have that conflict. Whenever I'm doing the beauty of the week, okay, am I looking at what they used to look like, or am I looking at what they look like today? So with Rose Jackson, I couldn't find out anything for her today, but she is our beauty of the week for Dead Presidents. I'm not happy about it.
I'm a little shocked. I'm a little shocked, Dunk. I thought you was gonna.
Oh yeah, what you thought? Who you thought I was gonna go with?
Well, see, she probably was just in the credits as the lady in the red dress, but the red dress that is, I'm like,
that's why you can't just be, I can't. I try to leave. I try not to go with no bit character. I try to go with somebody who got a little bit of a run.
Hey, Rated Kev, I'm with you on that one. That lady was fine.
Right,
so what you saying is you paused and beat it for them 2 seconds she was on camera. You got to see if you got to pause to beat it, then I can't. You can't.
Hey, Rated Kev, we ain't have to pause it. We got iPhones. We just push both sides and screenshot
it. Okay. So
that lady was gorgeous. Because you talking about the one who said, I won $10 last night. Here you go, baby.
That woman. Her lines. I got her lines.
That's a grown woman right there, boy. That's 1972. Fine.
Keisha giving a correction on the name. I don't know if that's
not Boucher.
The one that popped out the dumpster.
The sister.
The Black Panther. You said she was your
runner-up?
Second, runner-up. Did you get that black and white pic from her yearbook?
Oh, Na Boucher instead of in Boucher is what I said. Na Boucher is her name. Na Boucher, right?
Yeah, might have been. All right, but the way they were arguing and the way she said Anthony, like Red Care just disappeared.
I might be in trouble.
Yeah. I was wondering. I thought I was like, did this dude lose his mind?
Hey, if you gotta go, it's all good.
No, he needs to stay on this show at least another 20 minutes. I know what he's talking about. I'm like, after you said, I was like, and with today, hey man, today Rated Kev anniversary, man.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he out here running that. He's running that, man. I'm like,
yeah.
Wait a minute.
I'm being a professional, man. I'm just doing my job. I'm being a professional.
Yeah, right.
Hey, okay. Yeah. Clean it up.
We don't want to come
I paused just to make sure I was watching the right person. It wasn't a infatuation with her at all.
Yeah. I hope you got a cold steak in that car. Yeah. Hey, bro. I'm like, today rated Kev.
Hey man, Clint.
Anniversary.
Yeah. You got to put that cold peas on there.
Yeah, you got some cold peas and gonna put on his eye right after the show.
Yeah. But man, Clifton Powell, that scene when he pulled up, man, he made an entrance. There's no better entrance than what he made when he pulled up in that car. And then when she was like, yeah, and this is Anthony, and he was gone. I don't need to know him. I'm checking on you and my girl in the back. So, Ready Kev, you being a guest, man. When Cuddy pulled up, what was your thoughts?
Man, I already knew what was about to happen, right? Kind of figured it out. But if that wasn't the most disrespectful way,
Yes.
I'm like, he is lucky. I'm serious, man. He lucky. He made it out of that scene, man. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. That was the most. Look, he cut him off every time she tried to introduce, right? You're going to dude, you know the dude ain't got no money. You're going to flash 2 bills like it's nothing, like you flashing the $2.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
You know what I'm saying? That was totally the disrespect.
And when you hand it to somebody like this with the 2 fingers.
Right. Man, look, that was it was necessary, but man, I felt so sorry for Anthony. I'm like, man, bro, I feel your pain.
Hey, if he had a gun, he would have shot him.
Oh, trust me. He is lucky.
He would have told him, lean back.
I think we done all been in a situation where we were interested in a chick and some guy who was better in some way, or we perceived him better in some way, was also interested in the same chick and made us feel inferior at some point in our life. I can remember probably high school or early 20s or something like that, being in situations like that where you felt like, shit, I can't compete with this man. I remember when I was in the 8th grade, and this chick, we ran track, whatever. And so I remember being at a track meet. I liked her. She liked me. We were the same age, and at a track meet, this was early season at a track meet. I get to buy her some hot chocolate and let her keep my track sweater, and stuff like that, right? So everybody in the city, kind of know, we kicking it because she got my track jacket and stuff like that. But come to find out, we went to the same church too. It's this older cat who had to be a senior in high school that was on her too, and I couldn't compete with that shit, man. I ain't no senior. I can't drive no car. I can't, she can sneak out of church and go over to his house. You can't sneak over to my house. Hey, I'm in the 8th grade. My mama beat my ass. Hey. So I still, still to this day, I'm like, shit, if I didn't that nigga. So now when she be trying to reach out to me on Facebook and stuff, I be like, nah, back then you didn't want me. Now you're all on me. I ain't with it. I ain't with it. Hell no.
With this, it's a lot of etiquette that went on right here. He did that to get at Anthony, man.
Oh yeah.
I've been at a bar before, and the dude offered to buy a dude and his lady a drink, and the dude, like a sucker, accepted it. Like, nah, man, don't buy my woman nothing.
Yeah.
Don't buy me or my woman nothing.
Now, so I told you once where I accidentally gave a dude, I gave a couple some, money or blessed him with something that made him look bad. Now, trust me, I've been in situations to where I was the ass. I remember last week when Wilk said, hey, is there somebody inside of me that I've been trying to crucify? I've been trying to kill. I've been trying to distance myself from, but I can't. I got to carry this dude with me. I just got to control it. So we all related to that, right? Because we all got this killer in us. So I have sent a drink over to a joker while her dude sitting right there. And matter of fact, I done sent both of them drink. When I saw he looked fun, I was going to swing both one over there now. See? And I bought him and her a drink.
See,
You know, so
I got to bust your head to the white.
I'm about to say, that seems like something you would do too.
And
You would
see,
just go like this too. Like, yeah.
see, you'd had to whoop me that night, man, for
Yeah,
real.
we was gonna roll,
Because
man.
at the end of the day, man, a fight only gonna last 3 minutes. Stops. I got 3 minutes for it, man. And I've watched it, man, and then that's why, man. I'm with y'all,
Now,
man.
fast forward when he pulled up and he's walking out and he's like, "Oh, hold on." He was like, "You know what? I used to love to bring home the groceries." I mean, that scene was
Yeah.
acting wise, that was greatness, man.
Yeah.
Those two in that scene, just like Juanita
he wasn't
and
lying. He wasn't lying when he talked
Right.
about men love bringing home the groceries,
right,
and that was
right.
metaphorical in some sense,
Mhm.
you know,
Yep.
because you may not be bringing home the
That was
sack,
pimp talk,
but you
too.
at least bringing home the bread that's gonna get the groceries, you know,
Right.
or
Right.
whatever. So yeah, that hurt him. And if on a day where he was bringing in
Got
some meat
fired.
that he ain't got given. But
Right.
when he backhanded that nigga, the way he slid down them stairs, it was so funny.
Yeah, it was. No, at first, it looked like he was about to walk off, and then he came back and hit him.
Oh, that was a setup.
Yeah, but that was that pimp, and he was like, "Yeah, now you need to consider me a family friend, nigga."
Right.
Pimps ain't gonna pimps. I ain't never known no pimp that's just gonna straight up whoop you. Like if everybody know y'all finna fight, we drop the glove, let's go. You know, they ain't no fighters like that. They gonna have to one up you or trick you out of snuck a punch to get the upper hand to be able to do what you need to do. That's why he was like, I don't want no trouble. You know, turned away, and then he knew his guard was gonna be there. He thought you done scared me and popping real quick.
I thought he was about to walk off of one of them steaks too while he was at it. One of them steaks and meat going down the stairs too. Now you got to put now you got to put it back in the bag.
And he should not have been trying to deny or turn it. He was gonna try to turn them steaks down. Boy, what you talking about? You better get that meat here. You know, that's why your ass in the situation you in.
Bring on
pride.
the bacon and
Even if pimp told him, don't let that pride get you.
Right.
You need to look at me as a friend of the family.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he literally was bringing home the bacon.
Yeah, that's right.
That's one of those moments, man. See, but that's the problem, man. Yeah, man. Hey, man, I'd have been smiling on my mug shot that night because he'd have been telling me that.
Yeah,
I'd have killed him, man. I mean, dude, you would think about it, man. Anthony is a trained killer, and you talking about stepping in on my family, man.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
That's how I had to snake him. No, at that point, you snuck.
He wouldn't have snaked me because I would have hit. When he'd have said, "You see me as a friend of the family," I'd have set my bags down and worked him.
Oh,
that's the only way you get that message through, and
right.
You know, but
yeah, when he hit them stairs, it was over with. By that time, all you had to do was come down the stairs. Your head already hit the back of the stairwell or the radiator or whatever that was. You done at that point. Yeah. Now the scene I wanted to get to, and Ray Kev, I'm gonna come to you. When he gets to, I don't know if this was that same night or maybe, I think it was the same night. And him and Juanita were going at it. And he was like, all right, I'm gonna leave. That was another scene. That was quality. That was great acting, black cinema at its finest right there. Right. They really they went at it and they were in character. So give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I think in that scene, so she tried to deny the relationship or dampered how serious it was or what they were doing, right? But as the argument got on, she pretty much revealed, he's dropping off money because he's getting the yams. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, whether that was a lie or not, just the fact that she said it and knowing that it was going to get to him like that, it's really hard for me to explain or to look, man, Anthony did what he had to do. Because look, man, anytime you taking money from somebody knowing that I can't do it, you're going to take, and then you're going to admit that he getting the yams too, So, and then hey, look, the way he did it, the first question I would have asked also was, hey, man, is that my baby too? What else is not mine? Because you not me. So is that baby not mine either? You know what I'm saying? So it was just a scene, man, that just kind of escalated. And, you never want to, put your hands on a woman, but kind of. I ain't saying that's what I would have done.
Don't
but
do it. Don't do it.
Back away.
Don't do it. Especially on your anniversary. Don't say that.
Yeah.
Oh no, man.
Well, I say it for him. Shit, I wouldn't do it, but I understand. I'm just gonna
that's
tell
what I'm
you,
saying.
sometimes that Keisha put it up there. She goes, when he snatched up by the neck, that was great. She understands that sometimes you gotta choke a bitch for 20 seconds to let her know what's possible.
Not 25.
That's all.
I do like,
No, 20 seconds. I trust me, right, kid. I'm not talking. I didn't put it into practice. It's 20 seconds. Any longer than that,
Hey,
you know,
he on his own on that one.
you got to let him know. You got to let him see the light. You know,
The thoughts of Doc are not that.
You gotta see the light.
But now we were watching this, right? So again, my sister and her friends were there when it happened, and we all tripping at the fact like the nigga choked you once. He was walking out the door, and you go right back and get in his face and want another. But the one choke wasn't good enough.
He did ask her trifling if it was his baby. Then she rolled her funky eyes. I don't condone it, but I understand. Hey, and she knew this nigga was a psycho when she knew he was a killer. And then she could come up behind him like, nah, don't leave. You should have just let him leave. Calm down. Maybe,
that ain't how it goes.
No,
that ain't how it's gonna go in real life. That's why the scene. That's why the scene was great.
PTSD at that time.
Well, he was having nightmares though.
But she didn't know what that was.
She remember,
she said, you having these crazy nightmares. Only time you hold me when I'm hugging you. She didn't know. She didn't know what was going on.
I agree with that. Yeah. Or didn't know the extent of it, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, she probably viewed him as, I ain't gonna say a weak person, but
no, you're right.
Mentally weak because he wasn't doing the things that she wanted him to do.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
She talked crazy. Hey, she talked to him crazy the whole time.
I think she expected something different. When he came back, she expected it to pretty much pick back where it left off. And they didn't say how many tours he did. I don't know how long he was there.
At least 2.
So that was what, 8?
Right.
Yeah. It would have been 8 years, right?
Hey, funny
so
thing.
So a lot changed.
Me and my cousins used to call that the he saved me.
What you talking about?
You choke somebody until they almost black out. And then when they come back to, they think you saved their life.
Yeah.
Man, Brian saved me. You let them go. And then they coming back, they you
okay? You all right?
It's because of you. He saved me.
He said, depending on the area of the choke, she wouldn't have gotten turned on.
Would not,
not in that situation, no. When he said,
no, and some of them in their situation, man, that's why I thought the scene was so good, is because this is not so far off what toxic relationships are. They got that on their nail on the head. Some chicks are gonna get turned on by that. They like that, man.
When he grabbed her by the neck and he was going like this and her legs was moving.
No, that's the truth. Shit, I'll debate that to the end of time. It's some chicks out there dig that kind of shit. That's what you think toxic relationships are for. Yeah, that's why they call them. They didn't get famous. People ain't talking about toxic relationships because they don't exist. Yeah, that's the kind of shit that happened.
Why is coming right here?
I'm telling you. Shit.
Boys.
Yeah.
They don't have to be toxic.
See there? Look at that, right? Yeah, now they just trying to, it's some people that want safety in mind.
Me, Mike, Vince, Cap, and Chris, that he saved me is only applied to dudes.
What you talking about?
When I said that he saved me,
yeah,
I was at the men.
Oh, so you wasn't talking about doing it to women?
No, I wasn't talking about he saved me with women. You know, dude gets smart, but you just choke him out. And then
that's a lie.
I ain't never gave a woman that he saved me.
Maybe not you in particular, but I'm sure some of your boys, man.
Hey. These my cousins. We ain't he saving those chicks.
Thank you, Keisha. Tell the truth in this. See, let me put it like this: there's a lot of folks that won't admit the facts of this. And this is just the truth.
Yeah.
It's just the truth. We're not saying we proud of the shit, but it's the truth.
Yeah, but in that particular scene, I knew he was gone. And it wasn't no
But
turning
see,
back. He was
what you
done.
don't understand is what kind of scene you think she talking about? You think it's that we just sitting around the couch watching the fucking Brady Bunch and I'm gonna choke you and then you're gonna get more? No, they arguing about some shit.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, and he threatening to leave and she not, you know, some folks, and again, what the problem is, the reason why the cycle continues, the reason why the cycle continues is because the sex be fucking amazing afterwards. And so they thinking, how can we get that juice going again? You know, shit, the motherfucker, you slapped me the first time on accident. Now I want you to do the shit on purpose. You know, whatever. It's just that's the way it is. Shit. You don't believe shit scrolls to social media when you get out here. It won't take you 5 minutes to find one of these toxic comments or something like that. I promise.
Yeah. So
not a lot of people gonna admit it like Keisha.
Now at the Theodora said nope.
Yeah.
Now at the end of that scene, he ends up going to the Black Panther meeting because he got a sheet.
Pineapple is a safe word.
He got a sheet from a guy from earlier. That's tough.
Didn't y'all hear that comedian say so? Is what did he say? Is more a bad safe word? I can't remember who right. Said it. It's like is more a bad safe word.
I remember that.
Yeah,
it sounds like a comedian would say that.
More. Yeah, that's not a good safe word. That's a horrible safe word.
A good firm choke during sex. So I've heard be working your G spot. Stop it, King Dog. All right, so he ends up going to the meeting. He sees the sister, and he's like, "Whoa, where you been at? What you into?" And that goes into a whole other dynamic of people that fought in the war, and then the other side that didn't agree with it. It was like, you fighting that white man's war, why are you over there doing that? So you can see also because Larenz Tate, man, he was like, "Nah, I'm here to do this," and he wasn't. I'm halfway in and halfway out. When he was over there to do whatever the mission was, and right. His sister was on the other side of it. Like, "Oh, I'm glad you came back. Hopefully, you know, you get what'd you get from this, you know, kind of like that side of it." So that was a nice scene in the conversation inside the diner. Anybody want to share some thoughts on that? Ready, Kev? I'm gonna eat.
Well, the thing about it is that I think, and Doug can probably attest to this. So is when you're in the military, it's not like you have options. You're gonna be on board. You know what I'm saying? Once you're there, you're gonna be on board. So when I'm out and you criticize what I did, now what you're saying is I had options. It's like you know what I'm saying? And then think about those times too. Wasn't they were being drafted?
Mm-hmm. Right,
you know
right.
What I'm saying? It wasn't like I even volunteered to even go. Period. Mm-hmm. I got drafted.
Anthony did.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Right. He chose to. Yeah.
Right. But the point is, not only did I not choose to go there. Once I was there, I didn't have options. But now when I come home, I'm being criticized for what I did.
That's right, man.
You know, it's enough. The powers to be are, you know, I'm back home and I'm not getting their support, regardless to what I did for them. Now my own people criticizing me because I did what I had to do, you know. So that was, you know, I think that's some of the trauma I think these veterans go through because they don't have the support from no one. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I hope things change, but I mean, back then that was the issue. You know, I remember my uncle served, and he was the coolest uncle, right? But the thing about was he just wanted what he did to be respected, because A, he didn't have a choice, and B, he did it in a manner that was respectful to him, and he just wanted you to recognize, look, for one thing, I understand that wasn't our fight. I get all that. but understand I'm back. I got all my limbs. I'm healthy. Mentally, I'm okay. Give me credit for that, because what I could be is a monster. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's not how they were, viewed. So the way she approached him with the the communism, the whole thing that he was something that he wasn't, I think was I don't know, man. It's just another layer to his drama. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
another reason why he was choosing to do what he did, and he was kind of going from already being in an argument, already feeling like I can't provide for my family. Me and Juanita, we done. To like, this is even more reason why I need to go ahead and
right.
you need to go ahead and ride.
Set it off.
Yeah, set it off. Yeah.
Well, it's not only, we talk about, Raider Kev talked about his options, like he didn't have an option but to fight that white man. What a lot of people don't understand is that before they even go into the military, that is the reason why some folks will volunteer. That is the reason why some folks choose that route, is because they don't feel like they have any options at home anyway. So they're like, I gotta go. College isn't an option for me. I can't pay for college. I can't whatever. So in order for me to make some money, to make a living just to support myself, let alone, a family, I gotta go. So, and then once you're there, you in. You ain't got it ain't no choice. You in, and you got to make it your own. Even when you're in the military, I promise you, the way back then, especially back when I was in the military, even the way you saw your presidents was different. You saw them as commander in chief, and you didn't give a shit what folks thought about them as individuals. That was your commander in chief, period. And there was a loyalty to them. So yeah, it's a lot more complicated than folks make it seem. And I had an issue with how they were treating him when he came back, in terms of you fighting that white man's war, you doing this or you doing that, as if he could have did something different.
Right. And his mom was, when he came home, and man, that probably the first home cooked meal he had in a long time. And she like, why don't you talk to me, or what? How was it? And he was like, I don't want to talk about this right now. You don't really want to know how was it. But she didn't agree from the beginning. So I think her sense was like, now you back. I mean, what did you get from it, and kind of all that, because they wanted him to go to college, which his brother, who was, I forgot the guy's name, but he was on
Isaiah Washington.
Isaiah Washington. That was another quality prominent actor, and the mom, who was Jennifer Lewis. Man, she wasn't funny in this at all. Mm-hmm. And normally she funny, but she played a pretty serious role in this one.
But you know what? This is also a microcosm of what's going on in the world today. Doc has mentioned on several occasions how he was called super nigga because he had aspirations of being in management. And instead of congratulating him and saying, hey, brother, go ahead, get in so you can help us out, we have a person to fight for us on that side, you got people criticizing him. And it's the same thing with Anthony. Anthony went to the military because, as Doc said, he felt as if he didn't have any other options. It ain't like you was going to invent a computer. You weren't going to start podcasting. You weren't going to do something that is prevalent today. Things were limited at that point. So it's either go to the military or get a job, which the jobs were scarce. So I did what people would consider at that time the honorable thing, and join the military, because the military is going to give me the GI Bill, and the GI Bill is going to give me an opportunity, and the opportunity is going to be plentiful because I'm going to be one of the more respected people in society. But I get back, and I'm the scourge of the earth. You killing babies for no reason, as if in World War II, Korea, World War I, that they weren't doing the same thing.
Right.
So yeah, it's literally history, a cyclical situation in regards to history. History just repeating itself over and over.
Yeah, great point. All right, so Lorenz talks to the sister of Juanita, and they talk about, hey, I got this idea. So they end up going to the spot, going to Keith David's spot, and they come up with a plan, and they're like, oh, we need another guy. And it was like, well, who you got in mind? And I can bring somebody from my organization. I think I guess it was Keith David that was like, nah, we don't want none of them niggas over here. We don't need them.
We're one of them revolutionary niggas.
Right.
So so Anthony had the bright idea to bring Cleon on. If anybody ever seen a movie, you knew that was the wrong person, okay? And even him coming over there, like, what I got in this, and him preaching, which that was one of the funniest preaching scenes ever on that. Oh, and it's a
breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news. DJ Casper of the Electric Slide passed away.
Oh, wow.
Y'all want to know a fun fact about the Electric Slide?
What's that?
I don't know.
It ain't electric.
It's the Electric Slide is about a vibrator.
Really?
What?
It's not about a dance.
Wow, I believe it.
What?
That's the song about a vibrator. Man.
Wow.
If you listen to
Did
it,
not know that.
if you
It
listen
makes
to it,
Wow.
Rest in peace.
next
though,
thing,
rest in peace.
when we get off air, go play the song. It's a vibrator song.
So they end up coming up with this plan. Obviously, I didn't think Cleon was the right guy, and then the other guy was a pyrotechnic. So the plan started off well. Well, no, it didn't start off well because the cop came up to Cleon, and Cleon didn't know how to get out of it. So that was already messed the plan up. And then Chris Tucker comes from across the street and just blows the guy's brains out. And then you got the guy puts a bomb on the back of the Brinks truck and just blows the whole thing up. I'm like, this plan was done. And this is a PSA. Whatever you think, do not rob a bank. 9.9 times out of 10 is not gonna work. And if you're black, you're gonna be dead. So don't try it. Don't do it. But that scene, which was pretty much the climax of the whole film, that got to the point why it was called Dead Presidents and why I got to that moment. So Ready Kev, come to you. That scene and how it just unraveled and continued to get worse.
Yeah, it was crazy because you thought that, in some ways it kind of looked like it was going to work, like it was playing pretty well. Okay, when
on
you
the
just
paper,
talk
yeah.
it out. Wait, when you talk it out, right? But plans have to be executed.
Right.
And the execution, they needed some more practice.
You needed a practice run.
Yeah, they need AI, man. We need to do some practice because it was horrible. But now that we know the whole story, right? All of it made sense, okay? Because the techno guy, right? He was so excited about bombs. The fact that he overdid it didn't surprise anybody when you really think about it.
Right.
That was his thing. He wanted to blow something up. So
Right. He got what he
blew
wanted.
himself up already.
Right. He excited to show his hand because he's just excited about the fact he can blow something up. You know what I'm saying? The fact that the minister, the preacher, you thought that he would hold it together because of what he did when he was in the war, right? But now his mind is all messed up, and he was a bad choice because he's just not. He was motivated by the money, you know what I'm saying? And he's always going to second guess his actions because he's, actually he's probably guilty about what he did in the past, and he's trying to, find favor in God,
Right.
But I want that money.
Right. Those heads was coming back to haunt him.
Money, every time he contradicted himself. Every time he thought about this is the wrong thing to do, but the money. You know what I'm saying? So that was a bad choice. So it was just the execution, man. It's just, it was a good plan on paper, man.
Yeah.
God, no. But I had a question though. Why did Anthony always run over things? So when he was
running over cars and stuff, hopping fences,
when he was leaving the girl's house, why didn't he jump over the fences? Why he just?
He didn't have to. Yeah, that was not necessary. I didn't get it either.
You got a big sidewalk and a street, but you running over the cars.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, that was a trip. But it was bad execution, man. That's all I could
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. All right, let's get to final thoughts and our mic rating as we get ready to wrap it up. Keisha said, unfortunately, a lot of people like to use the easy way out instead of doing something legal to get money. Sadly, some people just don't want to work, whether they can get a job or not. Yeah, there's people
and
hacking
be some
people all
talented,
day.
and there
Yeah.
are some talented crooks out there, man. They
Yeah.
are smart, they're inventive, but they won't. They don't want to do it with no legal shit for some reason.
Right. All right. So, Doc, we come to you. Final thoughts and mic rating. Before I do that, real quick, Chris. So the group, the sister died. She was shot on the scene. Done. Chris Tucker overdosed. Cleon was buying cars and suits, and he ended up being the snitch and had everybody locked up. And Anthony got 15 to life. Now I don't know what happened to Keith David. I'm assuming he probably got something somewhere close to that, but they never said what he ended up getting. But
almost over anyway.
Yeah. All right. Final thoughts.
They had one leg.
He said his life was all over.
Now, at that time, he was probably 50.
He said his life was almost.
And he only had one leg anyway, so it don't really matter. No, as folks have mentioned, Dead Presidents, I think, really is underrated to a certain extent in our community. I don't think we give it as much love and credit as it deserves. Now, when we watch it, we do, because we're reminded of it, but for some reason, it isn't, talked about as much as some of the other films in our community. But I think this one's underrated. Just in the mic rating situation, I'll go over what IMDb, they gave it 6.9 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes only gave it 49%, but Google scored it at 86%. And
that's us. That's the black people.
That's right. Yeah. And for me, I started off at a 4 mics before the review, but when the other brothers pointed out some other stuff that I didn't pick up on, I raised that to a 4.5. I don't think it quite meets 5 mics, but I think it is a 4.5 micer for sure.
Okay. All right. A-Trap, we come to you.
5 before, 5 after. One of my favorite films. Love it.
All right. We're gonna come to our guests. Ready, Kev?
Well, when when you first asked me to review the movie, I initially thoughts were 4.5. Based on what I had seen and what I remembered from watching it in the past, I was saying, okay, that's gonna be a 4.5, easy, right? Then in retrospect, when I watched the movie and started realizing how so many movies was built off of this movie. Don't mention about the comedy. Chris Tucker. We talked about Pinky. His character. Kind of. I ain't gonna say carried over, but I'm just saying that type of person was in Friday. And the whole the mindset of how the government or I ain't gonna say the government, but the powers to be control us so well, and there's such a strong effort to control us, and that consciousness, I think, was built in this. There were so many messages in this movie that helped build those other movies. Now, whether you did it directly or indirectly, it doesn't matter. But when I thought about that, I said, you know what? This is a 5. Because it meant so much, and it was so much to build on later on down the road with other movies. So yeah. I gave it a 5. It's always been one of my favorite movies, but after watching it again, and I'm so glad you guys asked me to review this, definitely gave it a 5.
All right. Billy, it says no nudity. It would have been 5 months. he said 4.5. For me, and another movie which we kind of been saying it, but Set It Off is another one.
Right.
Now, just that end portion of it, but Set It Off was definitely, I think, inspired by this too. But I had a 5 initially, and I'm gonna give it a 5. Man, I felt like this is a classic. This is one of those where I would just buy the DVD just to have it. I got the Coming to America DVD. I don't have a DVD player. I probably never will in the future, but it's just one of those that I think you gotta have. And it was the acting. I didn't think I gave respect to the acting as far as Lorenz Tate and Clifton Powell in that scene, and then Juanita and Lorenz in that scene. That was just I felt like it was great acting. Black cinema at its finest, and I think this is another reason as to why we do this show and the way that we do it and how we broke it down. And so yeah, it's definitely a 5 for me. So
one of my favorite lines in the history of cinema is in this movie, and it's when when they went to Kirby's, and Chris Tucker was telling them that Cleavon and them was snitching, and Kirby leaned over in Chris Tucker's face. It's like, "That's y'all's punk's motherfucking friend."
yeah, that was funny.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So coming up next week and for the rest of August, we haven't really came up with a name necessarily, but it's going to be spiritual month for the rest of the month. So next week we'll be reviewing Remember Me, the Mahalia Jackson story, and then after that we'll be doing Amazing Grace, and we'll think of something else to do that last.
And then we're gonna do Rep Mike.
Yeah, we got to do that, man. We got to do.
Rep Mike.
Yeah, man.
What's the Amazing Grace situation?
Amazing Grace is kind of like a film / documentary of Aretha Franklin when she sung Amazing Grace.
Oh, okay. Ooh, wow.
Yeah, so I think James Cleveland is in it, and it's that one should be
Problematic. James Cleveland.
Oh, we had talked about. We had talked about Kirk Franklin, and the whenever we were talking about Spiritual Week and how controversial his music was when he first hit the scenes in black churches and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Did we ever find anything on that?
I did find something. I have to keep looking to see if I can find it. But yeah, I think he did have some type of film.
Because of Kirk Franklin's addiction, it was stuck together.
Wow.
Whoa. Awkward moment. All right, Theodore says awesome show forecast. A good scene. You read it, Kev. Great show. We appreciate you guys. All right.
It wasn't good for me.
It wasn't good for you?
Not seeing Ready Kev.
Tomorrow on End of the Bench.
Tomorrow on End of the Bench, I'm scrolling through my notes now. We talk about the money that's made off the community and how we have to reverse that. There are little, this stems from the Henrietta Lacks story. And our homeboy, Coach Prime, talk about the money that's made off them and how at some point we have to start looking at finance as a serious way to dig ourselves. Reparations is old. Me and Reddy Kev have had hour-long, maybe even 2-hour-long conversations about this. And, we both agree, but we just come in different ways. But there's ways to offer reparations to ourselves. And I'm going to talk about that. And the future, ladies, this is about, I read the Future of America report. And it's not looking good for women in America and men as well, but primarily women. The jobs they're trying to do away with are primarily women opportunities. And I am going to offer some alternatives for young ladies, especially because this, AI and automation is doing away with a lot of jobs that women traditionally hold. It's not that these jobs are female centric, but they're talking about doing away with a third of the workforce. By 2030, this is not in the future. This ain't 20 years from now. As a matter of fact, me and my daughter before the show, that's why I was a little late tonight. Me and my daughter were sitting outside just talking about this because she's about to continue her education, get her master's. And I was like, look, don't get the master's. Go for this. And I'm going to give her some of those opportunities tomorrow because automation is the future. Automation is the future, and we have to do something about it. And this is the first time in the history of the country this is the first time in the history of our community in this country that is a gigantic shift in employment. And we know about it now. We usually find out about it around 2033. But we know 7 years in advance, so we actually have an opportunity to go, wait a minute, and then take a shift. If we take this shift, we could change the trajectory of the community. Yeah. And I'm gonna talk. Lately I've been talking a little sports, and I know Ray Care like that. That's just, he's been telling me get back into sports, and I'm gonna talk about how these power conferences, and I'll talk about the hypocrisy of the NCAA.
Oh yeah.
Everybody, I carefully watched ESPN all weekend. They talk about how the Pac-10 is being dissolved and they're going to go to 4 power conferences. It's not going to be Power 5 anymore. They're going to go Power 4. Some people even saying Power 3. Everybody talked about the $50 million a year that the Big Ten conference is paying. Everybody talking about Apple Pay. Apple TV is offering $20 million for the Pac-10, and that's not enough. You know what nobody has said on any network? I watch Fox Sports. I use my ESPN radio, not ESPN radio. I use my satellite to listen to ESPN radio and everything. I've not heard one word about academia. The whole trope for the NCAA has been the student athlete. Everybody talk about NIL. Everybody talk about traveling conditions. Everybody talk about conferences. Everybody talk about schools getting paid $50 million a year by a specific network. Not one word about academia. Not one word about, even though it is easy, it's easily done now with online courses, but not one word about when the University of Maryland plays UCLA at UCLA, because they're in the Big Ten now. They're going to need travel time, or how you going to study, and what is tutors going to come in, and when you going to have time to study. You are a student athlete after all.
Yeah, that ain't been about education in a long time. They just done stop lying about it.
No, actually, they still. That's the thing, dog. They still telling the student lie.
Yeah,
they still telling the student.
I guess that's why I done missed it, because I don't pay attention when they start talking about the student athlete stuff, because I know it ain't never been about that.
Yeah, it ain't never been about that, and everybody's talking about that. And it's also an opportunity for HBCUs to make a power move with Apple TV or something of that nature, because if they take that Pac-12, I'll talk about it tomorrow. They take that Pac-12 money, it could be a game changer. So I'm going to talk about that. And I know people like Ray Care, get off my back. I'm back on sports, man.
Good.
All right. Tomorrow on Queen 3 and King, will we get the premiere of the new producer?
We will not. Matter of fact, the producer has got to go through some more training and whatnot. So when she hit the ground, she can hit the ground running. And the first show she does, which will be not this Tuesday, but the one after, will be her own topic, her own everything. So she is getting thrown to the proverbial wolves. So a Queen 3 and King tomorrow, but you do not want to miss the next episode when we have a producer.
All right. And that is Lakia Patterson, who is coming aboard as the producer of Queen 3 and King. So make sure to check out The End of the Bench tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central. You can find that podcast, and thank you, Ray Care, for coming on tonight. We appreciate it. This will definitely won't be the last.
It was fun, my man.
I appreciate it.
Not for me.
Yeah,
man. It was horrible for me.
You lying,
You lying.
You sent me 4 messages just while we was on there, so I already know.
I only did 3.
All right, we'll go ahead and close this out. A-Trap.
As usual, to quote the great Reggie O'Shea, I always say, dream your dreams and man up and woman up and live your dreams, because life without dreams flows in black and white, and life with dreams flows in technicolor surround sound. And because it's the 7th of the month, that means I paid my rent and I'm broke. So if I owe you something, I ain't got it. And if you need it, get it from God.
Him upstairs.
Peace.